Hi, I'm Brandon Herder with Pivot 180, and today I want to show you the social post studio that we created for the business here. And the context for this is that I don't necessarily, as a small business owner myself, have the time nor the focus or energy to remain active on social media on an ongoing basis. And specifically here, we're talking about LinkedIn. So I can get on a roll for a week or two and be very active and engaging and posting on a regular basis. But then I'll get busy for a good 3 or 4 weeks, and then I lose all that momentum on LinkedIn. So what I've built here is a social post studio that automates 95% of the workflow. And the easiest way to look at it is in this SOP. So what happens is every Monday morning at 7 a.m., the tool goes out and researches trending topics in my world, in Pivot 180's world, sees what others are talking about, looks for interesting articles to engage with, and then comes up with anywhere between 7 and 10 topics or recommended themes. Each of these topics are tagged by persona. So either they are from the perspective of my personal LinkedIn profile or my branded Pivot 180 LinkedIn profile. So it makes that distinction between persona. And then I'll look at all those recommended topics or themes, select the ones I like, and draft the post. The composer drafts the post for me in my own voice or the voice of the selected persona, and then I can iterate on the copy. I can have it redraft. I can make edits directly to it. Once I get it where I like it, I can pick and render the visual. So it is going to build me an optimized high-res image that supports the copy. Not all posts I do will have images to them, but these images that it does create are based on templates that I've fed it that are on brand and visually appealing and visually consistent from post to post. So I've given it that construct and that instructions. So the visual component of this can be optimized for any brand look and feel that you'd want. Once the visual is in the right spot, oh, by the way, I can edit the copy on the visual as well to some extent, and I'll show you what that looks like. Then I approve the visual. It goes into the library, and then I schedule the post. Once I have the copy and the visual locked and loaded, I can schedule the post. What happens then is the post is scheduled throughout the week, and then the tool automatically sends an email to me reminding me to post on the day and time that it's scheduled. So it's going to send me a reminder to say, hey, here's the copy, here's the image, you need to go post this. We've set up that human in the loop step there because LinkedIn will not allow automated posting through an AI tool. So that is the piece that requires me to manually post it. But from idea generation to content creation to scheduling, all that is automated with this tool. And then I post it, I publish it, and close the loop. So that's the process in which this thing works. I'll show you the components of it. Here's what the weekly brief looks like. So this was run the week of May 1st. It gives some context. It cites a couple links that it found. And then here are the angle cards or the recommended topics. There's 10 this week. And I can look at these based on how I want to approach the conversation. Is this an I agree moment in which I want to drop a post that is all about agreeing with a perspective? Or is this a contrarian post in which I want to take an opposite point of view to what has been cited in the post? So what it does is it provides a little description of what the topic is, and then some context, and then with one click, I can draft the angle. It then sends me to the composer. By the way, I can compose a post without doing the research or the weekly brief. So I can compose a post anytime I want, but the composer has pre-selected the right persona. So this will come out of my branded profile, and then gives a little bit of instructions on what the angle is, why it matters. This is the prompt, if you will, to the AI to draft the post. So it takes maybe 30 seconds to draft a post. So we'll go through the process and we'll draft a post, and then the post will show up in the queue. So this is one that's already scheduled in the queue. And you can open it up in the composer, and you'll see this is where the draft component is. And you can make edits right to the draft if you like. I chose a longer form layout here, but based on your ideal way that you want to show up on social media, you can have the draft layout baked in a certain format and structure. And then once you have a draft built, you essentially create a visual. And this one is already created, but you'll see that this is a stat card. The template is the stat card. And it shows one big number and a couple of bylines. So essentially, the things that are locked and loaded is the location of the logo and some of this other branded element. But everything else is editable. So I can come down here and say, it wasn't 90%, it was 83%. Make those changes, apply the changes, and they'll be made directly to the image. So once I have the image approved, I approve it, and it automatically is added to the library. I'll show you the library in a second. There's some flexibility we have with these as well, in which I can do a comparison image, and it will re-render the template and do a different layout for me. Simple with a one click. I can also change out colors. That's an ugly interpretation, but I can go darker, I can go lighter, and play with those as we see fit. So the layout, the type of template, the color palette, the copy is all editable to get me to a final image. So then once I like what I have, I can go and schedule this post and schedule it. And what happens when I schedule the post is that it will show up in the queue, scheduled, and the image shows up in the library. Here's the image that we were just playing around with that I saved, that I approved, and it goes to the library. So then automation takes over. As these things are scheduled, they send an email, and the email looks essentially like this. It's time to post. Here's your post. Here's the copy. It's scheduled for 6/4 at 2 o'clock. And you have one click that opens up into the LinkedIn Composer. So it directly opens up into your LinkedIn profile. And this can work for any social media platform. But it actually opens up the window in which you can just drop, copy and paste the post into. If this one had an image, the image would show here as well. And then you could just pull the image from the library. In the library, you can download the image right here, and it would download to your hard drive, and then you're copying and uploading the image, and you're in good shape. So what's behind the scenes here is a little bit of definition of the personas. My brand or my personal profile is the POV from I and my, or is the POV from we or our? What kind of language? What's the audience? What's the default CTA on these posts? So you set up all that. You set up your voice. So every post is consistent. Your voice profile, what to say, what not to say, words to use, words not to use, tone, voice, inflection, all that good stuff. That is all editable and savable as a core setting in the tool itself. So that is the Social Post Studio. Hopefully it gives you a good sense of how you can automate intelligently the social programming for your business. While it doesn't go completely from end to end because of the constraint with LinkedIn automatic posting, it gets me 95% of the way there and keeps me on track every week in terms of suggesting and recommending topics, helping me craft the topics, helping me craft the imagery, and then reminding me every day whenever a particular post is scheduled to pop into LinkedIn with one click and post in an automated way. Thank you.